You might rethink every sip after this. That fizzy drink you grab without thinking, the orange juice that never changes flavor, the bottled tea that seems so clean and crisp. What if none of it was as safe or natural as you've been led to believe? A food safety report recently uncovered disturbing truths behind our favorite drinks and everyday foods. The same study even drew attention from Elon Musk, who once warned, if people knew how these were made, they'd never touch them again. What these revelations show is a calculated system, where flavor is engineered, freshness is faked, and health is often the last priority. This isn't fear-mongering. It's about knowing what's really going into your body. Welcome to a deeper look at what's hiding in your glass and on your plate. 1. Orange juice, the perfume delusion. Think about this. Oranges don't grow year-round. So, why does your orange juice taste identical every time? It's not magic, it's engineering. Most big brands start with real orange juice, yes, but then they strip it of oxygen so it won't spoil. That also strips it of flavor. To fix that, producers add flavor packs, chemically engineered scent and taste enhancers built by fragrance companies. One of the key ingredients, ethyl butyrate, gives it that fresh squeezed aroma. But it's the same chemical used in perfume. Different brands use different packs, which is why no two juices taste the same, even if they both say, not from concentrate. It's perfectly legal. But is it truly honest? Would you still pour a glass if the label read, made with chemically reassembled orange essence oils by Perfume Labs? Probably not. 2. Beer filtered through fish. Crack open a cold beer and enjoy that golden clarity. But here's the catch. In many cases, that crisp look is thanks to isinglass, a gelatin made from fish bladders. It's used to filter beer, clarifying it for visual appeal. It doesn't affect taste, just appearance. But what about vegetarians? Religious dietary restrictions? Anyone who just prefer their beverages not be processed with animal parts? Many beer brands don't list it. They don't have to. Unless you ask specifically or research a brand's process, you'll never know. Thankfully, some breweries are switching to plant-based alternatives. Still, most mass-market beers don't disclose it at all. Makes you wonder, if fish bladders are considered a standard ingredient, what else might be hiding in your happy hour? 3. Coca-Cola sweet, addictive, and silent. After a long day, there's nothing like that fizzy off from a can of Coke. But inside that sugary thrill is a formula that plays your body like a slot machine. The culprit? Fructose. It doesn't trigger satiety like other sugars. Instead, it bypasses your full signals and sends dopamine to your brain, the same areas activated by drug addiction. You don't feel full, so you keep sipping. And those liquid calories? They don't just pad your waistline, they settle around your organs, increasing your risk of heart disease, type 2 diabetes, and even certain cancers. They market it as happiness in a bottle. But how happy are you really when the cost is silent damage to your health? 4. Packaged bread held together with hair? Ever noticed how a cheap loaf of white bread lasts days, even weeks, without growing mold? That magic comes from a substance called L-cysteine, and it's often derived from human hair, mostly swept off salon floors in China. When hair isn't available, manufacturers switch to pig bristles, duck feathers, or cow horns, all chemically treated and processed into dough softeners. The result? A loaf that's softer, longer-lasting, and easier to mass-produce. But ask yourself, if you saw that process with your own eyes, would you still take a bite of that sandwich? 5. Shredded cheese, dusted with sawdust. You know those pre-shredded bags of cheese that pour out perfectly, no clumps, no fuss? The reason is cellulose, a wood pulp derivative used to prevent clumping. That's right. You're sprinkling sawdust on your pasta. And even when the label says 100% Parmesan, it might be filled with cheaper cheese, cellulose, and fillers. In fact, one major U.S. company was fined $500,000 for selling fake Parmesan. Add to that the use of rennet, an enzyme scraped from the stomach lining of baby cows or goats, and cheese starts to look less like a dairy product and more like a lab creation. The worst part? Companies aren't required to tell you which kind of rennet they used. 6. Instant noodles, cheap calories, expensive health. They're the go-to for students, night owls, and budget meals. But those cups of noodles pack more than just convenience. They're often low in nutrients, high in sodium, and carry chemical additives that strain your heart and spike your blood pressure. The flavor packets? Loaded with MSG, artificial color, and preservatives. The noodles themselves are deep-fried before packaging and coated with compounds to keep them shelf-stable for years. If bacteria won't touch it, why are you? 7. Marshmallows and Jell-O, boiled animal bones. Soft, sweet, innocent. That's the myth of marshmallows and Jell-O. But their bouncy texture comes from gelatin, which is made by boiling animal bones and hides in acid until it becomes a thick, sticky collagen mass. No, not hooves, but pig and cow scraps left over from slaughterhouses. Once processed, dried, and ground into powder, they give you that fluffy marshmallow or shiny Jell-O cube. Would you still serve them to your kids if the label read contains boiled cow skin and bones? 8. Worcestershire sauce, anchovy stew in a bottle. That fancy little bottle in your kitchen cabinet? It might be hiding something fishy, literally. Most Worcestershire sauces use anchovies fermented in vinegar for up to 18 months. The original recipe was actually an accident, one so bad it was left to rot in a basement before they realized it tasted decent. That umami flavor isn't just spice, it's fish paste. Most consumers have no idea. And again, it's rarely labeled as such in bold print. Vegan or vegetarian? Allergic to seafood? You might have been eating it for years without realizing it. 9. Jelly beans, coated with bug secretions. They sparkle like jewels and taste like childhood. But that shiny candy shell? It's not just sugar. It's shellac, a resin made from the secretions of the female lac bug. That resin is scraped off trees, processed, dissolved in alcohol, and sprayed on everything from candies to furniture. In fact, it's the same gloss used on hardwood floors. That innocent jelly bean is coated in the same bug-derived polish used for home decor. Would you still pop one into your mouth if the label said bug resin glaze? 10. Meat that lies to you. Ever bought chicken or beef labeled enhanced or brined? It means the meat has been injected with salt water to look juicier and way more, sometimes up to 30% heavier than it should. And since you're paying by weight, you're paying for water. That's not all. Some grocers treat beef with carbon monoxide to keep it looking red and fresh long after it starts to spoil. The U.S. allows this, but several countries have banned it due to safety concerns. So next time you see a cut of meat that looks too perfect, ask yourself, is it fresh or just well disguised? The final sip. What you eat and drink should be your choice, but that choice can't be real unless it's informed. These aren't rare examples. They're the quiet, legal standards of the modern food industry. That's why we created this video, to expose what really goes into the products we trust. It doesn't mean you have to live in fear or never eat your favorite snack again. It means knowing the truth and making better decisions from there. Because once you picture what's really behind that shiny wrapper or natural label, it may never taste the same again. Subscribe for more insights. Eat smart, live smart, spend smart.